Hi, everyone. Welcome, and thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I'm so excited because I'm having a conscious conversation with Rihanna Cheyenne. And what I love so much about this conversation is that she's so willing to share transparently and authentically. When one really steps into these two frequencies and sharing on their journey, it is so inspiring to me because no matter how long you've been on this journey and no matter how much work you've put into this journey, um, we all have our moments. And I know that when I first started out and I'm watching everyone who is making videos and who are being channelers and healers and so forth, it would have been nice to know that even they have their days, and this journey is truly about having fun with it, not getting down on yourself, and just going with the flow. And when you're in alignment with your joyful self, you're in alignment with your true core essence, and truly there is no wrong and right. So I hope you guys get a lot from this conversation. There's so much joy and authentic and transparency shared within this conversation. And before I get to the video, I would love to share a little bit about Rihanna. She is a certified past life regressionist, inner child healing therapist, transpersonal crystal healer, a coach, and a multidimensional channel healer, among many other trainings. She supports empaths and the awakened to reconnect to who they are, heal their past, and empower them to step forward into their life's purpose. Her journey started from a small island in Taiwan. From there, she was led to Europe, then to Silicon Valley, taking her through sacred sites in Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Amazon jungles. After having a dark night of the soul, she had to transition from a normal technology business life to one where she was embodying her authentic self, expanding her gifts, and searching for the meaning of life and what her life's purpose is. After many years, she finally moved to Spain and is enjoying the sea, sunshine, and her life with her super loving partner and cute Shih Tzu. Her wish is to see everyone live their lives to their fullest, fulfilling why they came here and stepping into the courage of living their soul's purpose. With that, I hope you guys enjoy this. And without further ado, here is the video.
You know, um, it's so great to connect with you. Your energy is so beautiful, and your laugh is amazing. And I gotta say too, who was it that I was talking to? I can't remember who I was talking to, but I remember sharing that I was connecting with you, and she was like, she shared that basically what I have told you several times is like, there's something about Rihanna, like she's so perfect. I think she watched your series and she said that you're so perfect at um, holding a space for people to just be comfortable and speaking. Her energies are just so beautiful and profound. And I was like, yeah, I exactly. I told her that before too, and I agree 100%.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I still find it very interesting that that sometimes people can perceive us much better than how we perceive ourselves.
Yeah. Well, it's very evident of the seriousness of the programs that we judge ourselves on versus like when it comes to seeing others. Actually, this is interesting because kind of a side note, but this is I'm not sure how you've been feeling in this past maybe month, but
Mm.
um, talking about judging ourselves and the programs we run on ourselves. Um, I actually was attending Brooklyn's um, conversation with John Burgo talking about the mouth of source, and she brought in again. It's so good to always touch on such profound and massive portals, but she brought in about the diamond plasma sun belt and
Mm,
like the shift that humanity and Gaia is undergoing. And one of the questions was like, how is this um, affecting humanity and the earth, and but specifically us on an individual journey?
mm,
And you know, she shared a very profound. She answered it perfectly. But then Q&A came in, and this woman came on, and she was saying like she's been experiencing, like she's been binge watching shows that she's never like watched before, kind of gotten out of her groove that typically she gets in, and she just was like wanting to know like what, if she was backtracking or why this was occurring, because she's been on this journey for like more than 11 years.
mm,
So she was just like curious about it, and she just tied in with the whole shift coming in.
mm.
So much is coming up to the surface. So sometimes like that's she was sharing, and I also would have to agree in my journey that so much is coming up for us. Whether it's like we're wanting to just do Netflix and chill, or we're eating foods that we know are not aligned with our highest and best interests. And she brought in the key was, and this is pretty straightforward and obvious, but not judging ourselves during the processes when we're not, quote unquote, in our normal routine or what we are perceiving as our highest and best, because yeah. So would like to ask you, how has this been for you? Have you kind of experienced the same thing where you find yourself doing things that are not quote unquote looked at to be in your highest and best? Uh,
Well, the last month, so September definitely was very intense for me
mhm,
because it was, that I finished a galactic retreat and it was such a high. It was almost like the accumulation of like 3 months of preparation, mental, physical, and energetic and emotional. So, and the whole month of August, I was just like, I can, every day I woke up, I just feel such a high and inspired that I had so much energy to keep going.
mhm,
And when obstacle happened, I just felt like, okay, let me, like I seek help as well. But of course, I just carry on. And then I just like, it's almost like, if we think of Super Mario, I feel like I was like this little redhead man, like dying, 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 and I keep having mushrooms. No, are we supposed to get mushrooms? Anyway, coins and everything.
yeah.
And when I entered September, it actually for me was like everything I have learned, like marketing wise or spiritual wise, I
Mhm,
felt like I need I needed to continue the momentum, and I
mm,
needed to carry on to be of service. I need to be out there sharing and like
mhm,
supporting people.
mhm,
And it was a whole month of, but I just felt, but my human body just feels so tired. I couldn't do it anymore. And I just really need space.
mhm,
And so the whole September for me was like I was in that space of I needed to,
mhm,
I it was such a high. So I needed to carry on with the momentum. And what are all those people? And the email that I needed to reply. And then the human me just wanted to just let go. Just like, okay, I don't know. I just don't want to do anything. I'll just carry on, doing grocery shopping,
mhm,
busy myself with very mundane things. And it was in this constant judgment and
mm,
battle as well. It's like, yeah, okay. Then today I let myself go and I'll just relax. And tomorrow I'll start doing something. I'll start planning on the next step. But then the next day came, I was not, for whatever reason,
mhm,
I just did not do anything. And then it was just such a interesting observation to see how much it's almost like all the old programmings I thought I've been working through. And I thought, through such a huge event, I should be better off. Like,
mhm,
I already broke through some of the mental block and old belief, and now I should know how to carry on or how to move forward. But So yeah, it was very interesting for me to observe myself. It was really so much like shifting among space of, yes, I need space, I need rest. And part of me is compassionate, but part of me is like, no, 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 but you really need to start doing something. No, time is running. So it was like this multiple personality was like having this internal dialogue, and they are not always harmonious. And I think, and then there's another part of me just think that, okay, obviously, that we need help. So that's another old programming. Like
Yeah.
whenever I couldn't do things to calm myself, the reaction was like, oh, I needed to find someone else to help me.
Hmm.
I needed to find guidance from
Mm.
someone else. And it was very interesting for whatever reason. Everyone I reached out, I don't easily reach out to people because I felt I need to figure out by myself.
Uh-huh.
Of course, when I'm in this energy, I couldn't sit quietly. I couldn't. So the people I reached out actually say, okay, okay, I'll do it. I'll channel something, have a session. But then they'll say, but one of them is at end of September. And one of them say, yes, I will do it. And then something happened in her life. Then she didn't get back to me until like 2 weeks later. So end of September, exactly. So I spent the whole month waiting for guidance to come
Yeah.
through. And I just wanted to I just feel something very, I have to confess, like, because I feel I'm very grateful and proud and blessed to be a channel. I'm so blown away by the message I can bring through for other people.
Hmm.
And I don't do that for myself. So in the one of
Mm.
the reading replies that if you can channel, then you should not have asked me these questions.
Yeah.
Like I should not have like reached out to ask for guidance. Like, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? So it's also really an interesting mirror for me to look back. Like, yeah, right. That's a point. Like, why? Then I think at that moment I really see my own pattern. Like,
Hmm.
you know, that part of me just really just have not begun to trust myself, or maybe I am already trusting my on the path of trusting myself, but it's just I think it's ever unfolding.
Hmm.
So coming back to your question, I feel the whole September is really like a different level of, I would say, unleveling, but it was not comfortable. It was a
Hmm.
really opportunity to see our own programming, my own programming,
Hmm.
and how much I don't know how much pressure I have been giving myself. And that's just my lifelong pattern. Is like
Hmm.
just need to push myself harder and harder when things are not working out, which is obviously not working.
Yeah. Yeah. I,
How
I go ahead.
I want to ask you, how has that been for you? Or
Yeah, no, that's funny. I was just about to share that actually. Yeah, I would agree. I've had a similar journey, and I find two things that are important and very evident in our journey, and I think it's often talked about, but it's so funny when you actually go through the situation, it's completely different. Um, First, I think it's so important to find our flow of our own journey because I think so easily we can get caught up in seeing other success and seeing what people are producing and all like what you mentioned. There's so much programming at like more is better. You need to be on. You need to be, if you're not contributing, you're not worth anything. So there's this thing inside of you, like even when the flow is telling you, okay, you're obviously not feeling the inspiration. You need to take a rest day. You're resisting it and you're saying, no, I need to get it done. I need to do this and this. And that creates more of a downward spiral.
yeah,
It makes it worse if you want to call it that, or makes it more of a teaching experience for you when we approach it that way. And so I think even though I've experienced similarly to you, I've been grateful to just surrender into that and finding the flow, and it's made so much of a huge difference. And in fact, it almost seems like you would think like when you think about controlling and you want to like get things done, you would think that that would be the way to get it all taken care of. But when you give yourself the actual space to rest, or when you're not feeling it, when you do come back into the flow where you feel inspired to get the thing done, it's like there's more creative energy. Like it's like it up levels what you were initially planning out, and it like you're like, oh my God, like and it kind of snowballs with like excitement and creation energy, and before you know it, even though there's that time that you took away from it, um, I'm trying to explain this right. It almost gets it done quicker. It gets it done, because the pockets that you are working on it, it's just filled with so much energy and passion. And on two, just to your sharing as well, I also too don't reach out very often. And so when I was experiencing that, I was reaching out, and it's funny because I had a similar experience where, for whatever reason, it didn't fall through. And I think that's another the second thing that I was talking about that is commonly spoken about, but truly, um, which it's really, should we choose to dive in this, it's really time to trust in ourselves and to know that everything truly is within. And after I went through that segment of reaching out, it didn't work out, and then sitting with it, and then had that download, and then now when I experience things, what I do, what I have done now is that, let's say in the instance that I'm needing the advice, I'll try to settle down and get the inner answers, but if it doesn't come, I won't force it. I'll completely like leave it alone and then just go on with my day, and then in that not worrying about it, I'm assuming because for some reason it works for me. If I'm like sweeping or I'm doing something, next thing you know, the download comes in about like what the solution would be for that problem. So it's truly, I guess it can almost, when I'm thinking about it now, it almost feels like when you're putting, as we know, what you put your energy to, you're creating more of. So when you're not focusing of the stress and like, oh, I need to get this done, you are creating, you're making room for more to flow through you. So I would be curious to know, do you have anything that you do, or that you're starting to implement in
Yeah,
navigating this?
yeah. Actually, I also wanted. I that's beautiful. I resonate with that state of like just trying to get the answer or guidance, and then you couldn't. You go do something else. You go, from play with the dog, or
Mm-hmm,
just go
mm-hmm.
to the beach. And
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely, for me, what I've started doing since this summer is that whenever I feel like I'm just almost like I put myself in a pressure cooker, the
Mm-hmm,
more I try to find, what I needed to do, or the more I resisted making a decision, or, whatever is coming up. And then I'll just sit. And then for me, because at that moment I resisted doing meditation. I resisted doing anything that is good for me.
mm-hmm.
Like, because this is also one of the programs I know is oh my God. Yeah, it's like rebellious. Like I know doing meditation would be good for me, but I just do not want to do it. I just want to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I actually found out that if sorry, I just let
It's
me
okay.
switch on this program. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let me switch up this program as well, like this self-sabotaging program. Gosh, yeah, I noticed that if I actually were able to get myself out of the door, walk to the beach,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and whether I swim or not, I just sit on the beach and just looking at the sea. I
mm.
can feel like, this intensity or dense energy just start to dissipate. It's almost
Yes.
like create space. And then I would feel like, okay, it's not that bad. It's not that serious. Or maybe I'll just started to think about something else. And like you, like very often the name or, the
Hmm.
information or solution will come to mind. And I think it's really about people often ask, and I've been asking for years, that what do you mean by surrender and let go? Tell me how to let go and tell me how to surrender. Like tell me what to do. And I feel that is very similar to that state. It's just like, okay, I will just give it a break and give myself a break and then just, go to the beach and play with my dog or take my dog to the beach
Hmm.
and just really allow myself to stop suffering.
Hmm.
Because I think I that old programming tend to, you know, keep myself in the loop of suffering. Like, I
Yeah.
needed to, I need it, I should. And it was just not very helpful. So I don't, to be honest, I don't know how to um really completely let go of this self-sabotage or this,
Hmm.
program. But I guess it's really just about, again and again,
Hmm.
pick myself up and just let myself off the suffering mode whenever I notice it.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, consistency. And I think you really hit the nail on the head with what you're sharing. I think you're the first person to bring such a simple definition as to what is surrender, what is trusting. And I love that you brought that full circle as it's simply just taking yourself out of that state of like just trying so hard and doing something different to keep your, and in that trusting that the information or the answers will come to you. And
Yeah.
I love that you also brought in nature as a factor in your journey because, from the beginning of my awakening, that I know there was such an emphasis of like go out more in nature, and I think I understood this from like, okay, that makes sense because we're around computers all day, we're in our homes, and then we're in our workplaces, so it makes sense. It's good to get some nature, but there's definitely a profound alchemy in being out in nature when you want to clear your mind or your heart, or if you're frustrated and upset and you go out, it gets rid of it, or just like you shared, it can also it just clears the blockages so you're more in the flow.
Mm.
And I think it kind of goes hand in hand with understanding how profound an intention is. I think in that case, where even if your mind was just like, okay, I need to get out of this house, I need to go to the beach, whether you're consciously or unconsciously knowing it, it sounds like you're setting the intention of clearing this space, and in doing that, then the information will flow, or whatever it is that you're trying to do will come through. So, yeah, being out in nature and simply setting the intention, and even if not, you just
Mm.
that's where the trust comes in. Like everything's going to happen when it needs to happen, and and I think that also falls in line with wow, I wasn't even planning to say this stuff, but with expectations too. Like this is helping to unravel the programming of expecting. Like we think that to have a process come forth, which after I would love to hear about your process about um, the galactic retreat, but we think that for a process to come forth, we have this way that it should manifest,
Mm.
and when you step outside of when you're in a rut and you go to the beach or you go to play with your dog, you wouldn't, I'm sure we don't expect it like, oh, that's part of the process of creating this galactic retreat. Like I need to go to the beach or I need to play with the dog, but truly like that's part of it. It's part of letting go of the expectations because that was what you needed in that moment to continue your flow. And yeah, so it's, thank you for bringing that in.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually, while you're saying that, I just have this feeling of, it's almost like because when I was describing how I behave like a rebellious child, like, self-sabotaging and all that, trying to figure out, and it's almost like if part of me, or if could be the loving parent,
Mm.
right? Because I just want to bring in self-love, because it has been everywhere. Everywhere I I go, I would see self-love, people talking about self-love, and I, we are also in the self-love
Mhm.
container with Brooklyn, and I just feel like, what is self-love? What does it mean to love ourselves? And I feel it's just in those moments of like when we are seeing ourselves suffer, like
Mhm.
feel frustrated and bang our head on the wall again and again. It's like the best thing we can do is really to
Mhm.
give ourselves some space and grace, and knowing that, come on, we really do, we did our best. And if this moment things are not coming through, or if we worry that we are missing out on our timelines of,
Mhm.
whatever, you can fill in the blank, it is just all part of the programs, right? Or our belief that, because
Mhm.
if we are really able to feel into the immensity and the magic of soul and the universe and the source, and there's no one man or no one project right there, like, if you miss that project, you are gonna fail, and then you're just gonna you can go back, you can, like,
Yeah.
yeah. And so when things are not working out, it's because there is something in that moment that is trying to show us
Mhm.
this is not working. Whether it's how we treat ourselves, how we judge ourselves, how I judge myself, how I believe how I should behave, or, based on age, based on the
Mhm.
level of spiritual awakening, or how much work I've done, how much money I've spent, invested. It's it's about really to just pick ourselves up, like if we see a child is on the floor banging his head on the wall, we wouldn't say keep doing that until you figure it out, like we would
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So I feel like self-love for me, this new image is that when we see ourselves suffering, or not feeling good, it's
Mhm.
like, what can we do to just really soothe ourselves,
Mhm.
pick ourselves up from the floor when we are banging our head, and then just say, okay, let's, what would we do with a crying child having a tantrum? We wouldn't
Yeah.
fight or argue with him or her. We would say, okay, let's go out and have some ice cream. Let's go
Yeah.
play with the dog. Let's go talk to the tree, or let's
Yeah.
go do some painting. I
Yeah.
so so I feel that's what, I think this information is for me as well.
No.
Like, I should really, like, I can really start be in that loving, accepting place, and then just see how much, I'm suffering, and then I let myself out of that loop,
Mhm.
and then know that you'll be fine. Like, there'll come a moment I can create again, or yeah, like about the flow state. Like, right. I mean, even as a child doesn't know how to flow, but then they know when they are in the, space of accepting and joy and fun, then things, magic things happen.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
feel, for me, the new level of self-love is, it's about not judging ourselves. But when we do, I think there's also a pitfall. Like, we say we shouldn't judge ourselves. And when we do, we judge ourselves for judging ourselves. And that's like, it's
Yeah.
just really about letting all that go and say, okay, I just need a space. I just, need to let myself out of this dense emotions. And what can I do just to shift my focus?
Mm.
Sometimes it's just chatting to a friend, and sometimes it's, I don't know, have a shower. I would do
Yeah.
that sometime when I feel like, ooh, I don't know what to do. So I'll go have a shower and just I now feel fresh, and then I'll start, doing things that calls me.
Yes.
So, mm.
I love that. Okay, so you touched on so many things that I was just like, yes, yes, yes. Okay, so one thing I wanted to share, you know how you kind of laughed in the middle of it when you're like, this is something that I should be, I'm talking to myself. I get that all the time. And I think truly, I personally feel that any conversation you're having, whether it's an interview or a conscious conversation, it is for you. Or even if you're having a session with a client, I feel like there's always something there for you. And
Mm.
this is a perfect example of what it's like. You know how you shared that like you tried to channel yourself, but you couldn't do it, or the wisdom and the answers. Maybe it's because you're over efforting. But look at now, you're just having a plain conversation. You just totally channeled the perfect information for you. It just goes to show like you kind of touch on it. Like that's the flow state right there. You're not efforting at it. You're having fun, and this frequency is where everything is just flowing for you. And as you're saying these things, I was getting goosebumps, and I'm really enjoying this. Like this is beautiful, and I think you touched on so when we've talked about like letting go of expectations. We've talked about so many things, but in a way like joy and unconditional love, all these are interwoven. But I personally feel that at the core of everything, and we hear this all the time, self-love is truly the starting point. If I were to say, give any advice, I think for sure to start on self love, because if your self love is at a good level, or you truly love yourself, everything else kind of falls into place. You trust yourself easier. You're able to surrender easier. You don't have those programs of judging yourself and judging others. You fully more understand and embody that we truly are one, because um, you know as a beautiful friend and soul family member said, is you cannot see in others what you don't already have. And so when you're embodying that self-love, and you can't help to see the beauty and the inspiration that people are providing, and you just know like that's reflecting back to you what you are. And so it's just self-love is really such the key, the foundation for me, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I also feel, it's just coming through like it's one of the key to learn as a human experience, because
Hmm.
when we are in different dimensions or back in the source, there's
Hmm.
no need of self-love because we know we are love.
Yeah.
Like you are all that is, though there's no lack, there's no not love. And I feel, the fundamental of human experience and all this, because I've been working with a lot of people on the in the child healing and myself. I'm like full assembly of all this inner child healing that um that I have gone through. Is
Mhm.
I think we all chose to be born into this separation, or become human, and the most fundamental part is that we were deprived of that love.
Mm.
It's almost like there's no, what is love? Like every parent could do their best, but then
Mhm.
there are always programs and,
Mhm.
ancestral
Mhm.
lessons that needs to be experienced. So I felt, other than this feeling of separation, I felt like almost all of us are, have chosen to experience the lack of
Mhm.
self-love so that we find our way back to that deep connection with ourselves.
Yes.
And like you said, that's a fundamental element before we
Yeah.
can, love our other people. We can,
Yeah.
interact. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that, yeah, you once again you're hitting the nail on the head. Like this is one of the biggest reasons why we chose to incarnate on Earth, is to experience this polarity. So, I mean, how do we know what light is until you experience the dark, and then you come back to the light, and you're like, oh my God, thank God for the light, and there's no judgment on the dark because it has its purpose in place, just like no judging us on our journeys, whatever we're experiencing, whatever we choose to do, whatever others do to us. We When you have this perspective, then you just know like obviously you might not resonate with that action, but either way, it was purposefully put in your path for you to experience. So when you did come back to the light, or you do experience that love, you can have a deeper understanding. And I don't think that that can be fully. I think that might be talked about in like the ethers, and of course I'm not sure because I'm in the physical right now, but I think this is like definitely one of the big reasons why like they created the physical reality, so we can actually experience these topics that of like what does it mean to love. Well, let's go down here and experience not loving yourself and not being loved, and then find love, and then that just creates such a beautiful emotion and experience that is unlike any other.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, never not going into detail because so I've been through, I was married and then, before and after the marriage, my first marriage, I had a few relationship and they are all very different. Some people chose, I think we all have different blueprint and the way we learn our lesson. And for me, my the the pattern in different relationship are quite different. So I've been, through different way of um in the romantic relationships. And actually, I think the common theme is self-abandonment, sorry. But then it's like if we don't go through different relationships to know, well, most of the time we were heartbroken. If we didn't go through that experience of, heartbroken by this guy or this woman with this behavior or that,
Hmm.
it's like it's very hard for us to know where is our, who we are. It's almost like we
Hmm.
don't really know who we are until we go through certain situation or limitations or
Yes.
difficulty or challenges, and then we realize, oh, I thought I am like that, but actually I'm not. Right? I
Yep.
thought I could live with it, but actually I couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that one of the that is so true, and one of the statements that I think is really important for people to understand um, is that this is exactly where the case with us believing that we are just human, that we're separate of source, and but in actuality, like we came here to experience ourselves separate of it. We call it the veils of the illusion, whatever it is, because that whole coming back home to knowing who you truly are,
Mm.
that journey is so sweet. It's so incredibly catalyzing to grow. So I'm so grateful for this experience on Earth and everything that I experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's also like, yeah, I remember I had some moment. I think it's even was before I consciously aware I was spiritually awakening. I do remember there are moments I would think of how beautiful this earth is
Hmm.
and what certain human experiences are like the moment of this into this ecstasy when you're in union with music, with
Hmm.
or and I would really feel so touched into tears. I was like, wow, it's so amazing to be human.
Hmm.
Of course, they most of the time it's struggle and really a lot of hardships and when we are going through difficult situation, it is real. I mean, it feels so real. This pain, from heartbreak or this pain of betrayed or this you know blockage. It just feels so real. So I feel the thing is really also to give coming back is really to give ourselves some grace,
Hmm.
allow ourselves the grace and compassion. um I don't know, I almost felt like no matter what struggles we're going through, it's really the first thing is to give compassion to ourselves. Like
Yes.
it's hard to be human, it is hard to be human at this time.
Yeah.
No matter how much multidimensionality and how many psychic gifts you have, it is still hard. Like
Yeah.
they are it's really just so real. And you just I felt what I've been learning really is to accept myself where I am and how
Mm,
I am. Because I compare a lot.
yes.
Like, oh, I wish I'm like that. Oh, I wish, I'm
Hmm.
successful. I wish I'm amazing and, magical like this and that person. And I think that's also very deep programming.
Yep.
We were just so conditioned to compare. And then the usually you either become very arrogant or you become just like, you don't think you're enough.
Hmm.
And either direction is not good. So
Yeah.
I just, oh, yeah, just really allow ourselves the compassion to go through each and every moment.
Hmm.
If we can remember. I can
Yeah.
remember. I was like, okay, you're doing well. You're doing well.
That's so funny. Yeah. I think this is the process, the journey of embodying this, because
Mm,
we often understand, oh yeah, be kind to ourselves, but then like you said, like you just shared, when you're in the moment, it's hard to remember, like, be kind to yourself. But that's the beauty of it, like you've shared, when you pick yourself back up and you immediately change your thoughts and your emotions and your actions to, honoring yourself and being, like seeing it yourself as this kid, and what would you do, take it outside and go to the beach, whatever. That process of falling and getting back up is the process of, eventually at some point you will remember in a moment, like, oh wait a minute, I'm being rude to myself, let me be kind. And then I think that's what it means to embody, when it just comes naturally to you. And when you it's not, I don't think it's, you would be void of experiences that will cause it, but you're instantly knowing it and you're easily shifting it, and it doesn't alter your emotions and your, obviously, or maybe this is what enlightenment is, when you have all aspects of you just like totally toned in and you're not being affected by anything. But um, yeah, I think that's what, to your sharing, this is what, not only what makes the human journey so difficult, but also so beautiful as
mm,
well.
yeah. So how is it for you? Your journey.
you know um, Yeah, I would say, okay, so for my journey, I guess I feel like I want to preface this by saying I would say like I'm a spiritual overachiever. So maybe it's not as, there are some people out there like me, but and with that, I know I was so serious, but now I'm coming back into the joy of things. But essentially, yeah, I feel like I'm at this place where I'm able to be conscious of when I'm judging myself or when I'm judging others, and then quickly shift my thoughts, my emotions, and my actions. And I literally have seen so many times, like we often hear about, we can shift our timelines,
Mm,
and obviously, without getting too in depth, like each new moment is a new moment, literally, and it's moving so fast we don't perceive this shift, but it just looks like your day. But I've literally seen the shift happen before my eyes. It's so crazy. Like, this person he's going off. They're it's creating a situation. I notice how I'm being. I switch how I am, and then next, like in mid stride of, the person just stops and like, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know why I was even saying these things. And I was like, oh my God, like this is what it is to, you know, be in control of your reality rather than reacting to it, being more conscious.
mm,
And so it's been, yeah, that's where I'm at. I feel really grateful, that I feel like I'm at this place where I'm embodying most of these topics. And yeah, it's been beautiful in it, and it's been beautiful going through it. Even when I wasn't embodying these topics and being totally triggered and judging myself and all that. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
that's really beautiful. That's amazing to witness yourself and then to see that timeline shift just in that split second. Yeah. Yeah. And also I feel like, oh, when we are more and more aware or conscious, it doesn't mean our life will be like,
Mm.
smooth sailing.
Mm-hmm.
No argument, there'll be no, frustration that
Yeah.
happen. I feel it's like what you said, like it's to become aware that when you're in the middle of that action,
Hmm.
you could shift it. And I think
Yes.
there's another level is that right even before you have that judgment come through, you could
Yes.
already catch it. And then you say, okay,
Yes.
let me just come back.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah. Mm.
Sorry, did I cut you off?
No, 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 no,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, I 100% think you're right with that. It's like you're channeling your higher self because our higher selves are us in a more enlightened state. And, I truly believe like there's not anything that we can talk about and we can think about. Um, we are simultaneously existing in these timelines. So the fact that you had the idea to bring in, like, I think even there's a point where we can even catch it before that um,
Yeah.
comes into reality and totally shift it. Yeah, and you know, I'm not entirely sure, but I just like you were sharing too. I feel like you just said, when you embody these things, it's not like your life is smooth sailing and perfect. It's almost like now that you have these mastered, you could be thrown into situations where you're holding the space for a whole collective.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a huge situation happening. Like for an example, we just experienced this is something I haven't shared before. We experienced the hurricane
American,
here in
yeah.
Florida, right?
Mm.
And on my journey of understanding who I am as a multidimensional creator being, and our thoughts and our emotions and actions are creating our realities, and that even though there's things going off externally, it doesn't have to be your reality. You can totally shift it. Um, there was the whole mandate of everyone needed to leave this zone because it was going to be so horrible, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I just had this confidence in knowing who I am, and the embodiment of how to create my reality consciously. And I truly feel that for those of us who stayed behind, myself included, we were holding space, and long behold, even though everything is projecting like this total devastation, like the the storm was completely mitigated. It was nothing had happened. I don't want to say mitigated. There was a few branches that had fallen off, very minor, than what they were projecting it to be. So I guess I'm coming around to say, yeah, I think you can be put in situations to hold a space, or I think there's never a ceiling at our growth. So just when you thought you've mastered these things, I'm sure there's going to be more situations you're going to be put into, and yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think because I think being human we would say, oh, I hope there'll come a day that, I've done all the clearing and healing and there's no more to be done. And
Mhm.
maybe there could be that sense of like no more healing, but then there'll always be the level of, I don't know, the embodiment of, more energy or more of our higher self, our soul and source energy. So I don't know how it's gonna look like,
Mhm.
but I feel it's important to also shift the perspective of, gosh, I've done so much healing, and things are not going the way I wanted. I think it's really not about that. It's really now the focus is on how I can
Mhm.
create positive, how I can create the new,
Mhm.
right? Like when you said you know who you are, you embody that, and then you said, I'm going to create my reality.
Mhm.
You did. Because
Mhm.
I remember you told me on the day of the hurricane, you said, no, people were jogging,
Yeah.
walking their dog, and it's just like very peaceful.
Mhm.
So it is, mm, I feel like the invitation is to shift our focus on what I want to create if I were truly the multidimensional self, or I'm the God, I'm the source,
Yeah.
I'm the universe. I am, it's it's really to give ourselves the space to see what we can do, because I think because there's no pattern
Mhm.
before, and then for me I tend to look for pattern or what has happened for me to model, but it's
Yeah.
almost like there's nothing that you can not create. So it's
Yep.
really to allow ourselves to soothe into that space and possibility. So for
Yes.
me, it's something I'm learning. I'm really, navigating through day to day, the reality and what I want to create my day to be, how I want to feel,
Hmm.
and how do I create new projects, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So beautifully said. Yeah, I think it comes you can probably summarize everything that we've talked about with where are you directing your attention to? Is it self-limiting belief programs, or is it, profound, expanding experiences? And um, yeah, it's so funny if I went back to look at our conversation and like we've touched on so many crucial points of coming more within ourselves to our core essence. At the core of it's that whole self-love and knowing that you are source and yeah, this has been such an enlightening and such a beautiful conversation. I'm honestly, it's been a while since like everything that you start to talk about, all of a sudden like there's so many different streams I can go on. um, but I would actually would be curious for you to share what it is that you do for your services, where people can find you, if they were to, want to have a service with you. And also, please feel free to share anything you have going on. And also, I would love it if, sorry, there's so much. I would love it if you would. You just got done with creating
Galactic
the
retreat.
Galactic Retreat. Please touch on that a little bit as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just had a galactic retreat. It's like online galactic retreat with 24 amazing, amazing, including myself is 25. Amazing, amazing channels and channelers and healers and spiritual teachers. And some of them are like visionary way shares. Like they create these, platforms, conscious new consciousness platforms, and it's such a beautiful experience, but also very humbling.
Hmm.
What I want to share briefly about that is I have been asking, I would say the last few years after I left my corporate job, I was really waiting for God or universe to tell me what I should do.
Hmm.
So I'm always waiting for that voice to tell, like, you shall be, and then you go do this. And when I listen to many people's, then I started listening to a lot of summits and interviews and workshop and courses. And when I listen to other people's experience of how they came through their spiritual awakening, and I remember so many would say, "Oh no, now Archangel Michael or Metatron or Mother Mary or who just came to me and say, you should start doing this."
Hmm.
And I was always waiting for that
Mm.
someone or some consciousness to tell me what to do.
Hmm.
And of course, it's not in my blueprint to have a journey like that.
Yeah.
I was always wondering, like, what can I do? I know I really wanted to, to be of service. I really, really wanted to work with the earth. I feel such a strong calling with the earth, with the guy, even though I don't know what to do. So what I got out of creating a galactic retreat or online summit, with somebody would call it, is about follow our joy. And
Mm.
when I first heard that, because that's all the spiritual teaching, in the end of the day, they tell you follow your joy. That's where your soul is telling you, is guiding you. That's
Mhm.
what you were here to do. And I was like, yeah, but but it's but so I was resisting. I was like waiting, still waiting for that sense to tell me, a decision that it's made for me. Not until I started to think about, oh, I really love talking to people. I am very good at listening to people. So I would love to, interview people and ask them, like highlight them, because I noticed throughout my career, throughout my personal life, I seem to have a way to make people feel very good. Not intentionally, but just by having a conversation, or maybe because I smile a lot as well.
Yeah.
Uncontrollable smile.
And the laugh, you're just being yourself.
Yeah, so I just thought, okay, why? Then I started, once I have the idea, I actually started to receive, signs along the way.
Hmm.
And then I never thought I would be doing a online summit or galactic retreat, but then the idea just kept coming in, and I was just following along. I said, okay, maybe I could do that. And then once I have the idea, more information came through, like, through friends, casual conversation. And I feel that's what truly is, at least for me and for some people, it's that when you give yourself the permission to follow what lights you up, what brings you joy, and
Hmm.
that is not cliche, that is not a
Yeah.
Hallmark sticker, like it
Yeah.
is really true. And that's where you get to shine, and really you get to, go through, create that energy or that project with the energy that is uniquely you, whether you believe it or not, whether you know it or not. I was not aware of all this when I was creating. Why I thought I would just gather people together, and I just want to have interview because I love these people and I wanted to, have connection to speak with them. And that's all what I thought. And then I thought, oh, I wanted to help people or support people with who are going through similar journey, struggling finding our purpose, or
Mm.
struggling knowing who we are, or, like all that, because there's such a strong programming as well. Like you need to follow who are successful. And I was on that path for so long. I was trying to listen to those successful people and then say, if you want to be successful, you should do this, this, and this. And then I try, but it didn't work out and I didn't feel drawn. I mean, it was a lot of trial and error period until I really go through creating this summit, this galactic retreat. And I realized, wow, I can really be doing what brings me so much joy and really supporting people.
Hmm.
And also the Gaia and then I could call in. This is when I feel when we are following our heart,
Hmm.
following the guidance, this is when resources will come through and information. I feel that I was receiving so much information, and I really felt there was this powerful, powerful force that was pulling me forward.
Hmm.
Because it's nothing. I would say, even though we are following our bliss, our purpose or mission, it doesn't guarantee you are gonna be, smooth sailing again.
Hmm.
There'll be good weather, there'll be bad weather days, and then it's because everything comes up to clear our belief. It's where the invitation to see what are the limiting belief we are still operating when this conflict or when this frustration occurred. So it doesn't mean there are no difficult moments, but it's really so much is that love, that vision, that hope, that optimism, that guidance, whatever word that, it was really pulling me forward through all these difficult moments, through the stressful, through the doubt. And I felt what I took away from it is that is also about we claim our sovereignty, like
Hmm.
stop asking for Archangel or
Yes.
Commander Ashtar to give me a mission to do. It's like, no, maybe you will work with them, or maybe they will work. I mean, maybe we will work with them, but we don't know. But it's about you say, okay, I am going to create something that really, nudges me or calls me or shouting at me, and things will happen. I do feel such immense gratitude for all this journey because I met so many amazing speakers. Most of them I know already, but then I met a few new amazing beings. And it's also through this journey I met a lot of, say, audience or people who feel resonate to sign up. And it's just so beautiful to listen to their life stories and their sharing and telling me how the retreat has helped them. And it is humbling, it's gratifying. It's also really allowed me to see the beauty and the grace and how universe works.
Mm.
But we have to be the one that say, okay, I'm ready and I am willing to whatever it takes. I'm going to follow what I feel and is my thing, or is my what brings me joy and what I'm here to do. Because I think that we're always receiving guidance. We're always everybody's channel, everybody has these connections. It's just about whether we want to jump out of our comfort zone
Hmm.
and go for it.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel very there's certain I feel emotional. I certain emotion is rising
Yeah,
up.
because
It's
you're channeling such beautiful wisdom that everyone needs to hear at this time. You're speaking my language. I feel like this was a total drop the mic and just walk away moment. Like that was such a profound speech you just gave there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So um
So where can people, find your website to, have a session with you? And where can they find this galactic retreat? If people can still tune into it, right? Even if they're just barely finding out about it?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, I am going to switch it online again because after the retreat I was like didn't know what to do with it. It went offline and I felt like yeah, I feel it's time to share the content, maybe in the way that the human me is able to do. But yeah, I wanted to put it out there, like some of the content out there, because it's just such profound information as well. And I think I wanted to share something as well. Like very often we really wanted to look for very complex, very,
Hmm.
like out there, like information out there. But to navigate through this human life, what we need is very basic.
Hmm.
It's about receiving the information through our heart. It's about applying it. I mean, we can learn all the spiritual laws and we can
Hmm.
have all the archangels, ascended masters with us. If we don't do it, I mean, it doesn't matter. They are not going to change our life if we do not say, okay, I'm willing to face the discomfort. I'm willing
Hmm.
to be seen. I'm willing to be heard. I'm willing to break that relationship that is draining my energy.
Hmm.
It's, we have to be the one that live our life, not the
Yeah.
guides. And the guides don't do things for us anyway.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just, I gotta say this before you continue to share um, your information is that I think this conversation was so beautiful to me because I too am similar to you. I didn't have anyone telling me what to do, except for thankfully, I didn't fall into the trap of waiting for someone to tell me. I just did it, and here the people are just saying like, "Oh, I'm connected." Source came to me and said to start meditating. Archangel Michael came and said start doing this. I didn't have any of that, and I was just moving forward. And just as you just shared, I found my joy and my passion, and I have been that I have been the voice that I've been wanting to hear to guide me, and that's the truth. Is the joy is the pathway of the soul of your
Yeah.
purpose, and so wow, that last little bit that you just shared really is such a simple and profound sharing of for the length of time that I've been on this journey. Like that is priceless.
Thank you. Yeah. Good. Yeah, so where can people find me? So at the moment, my work, I have a website that's called Starlight in Love.
Mhm,
I'm in the process of transitioning to a new platform,
mhm,
but it's still in the making. So
mhm.
again, I was waiting for, guidance to fall to show out in my sky, but they never did. So I was like, okay, what? So now I have to decide, okay, I'm going to change. So I'm going to create a new platform, a new website. But anyway, but people can find me on Starlight in Love and also embodyoursoulmission.com. So that's
Mhm,
the galactic retreat to support people to find to navigate through daily life in order to embody what we are here to
mm,
create, to who we are here to be.
mm. I love that so much. I'm going to leave links down below in the description for those of you who are wanting a direct click away to access these portals. And I just got to say that it truly has been so fun co-creating with you in this conversation. It's been so uplifting. It's been so beautiful. And I just want to say thank you so much for being you. And it truly, you're doing so much for the collective with even beyond the galactic retreat. Just you being you has been such a. I'm really grateful um, to have our paths cross, and I look forward to future co-creations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's been really I would say a delight. It's almost like a treat, like a sweet candy. To connect, to have met, I felt such a connection with you, and I feel you're such a profound being. There's so much calm and light and wisdom. So I'm really grateful that our paths crossed, and I may that be a long path together.
So be it, and so it is.
And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.